All right, let's look at the homework 3.2, 3.3, problem number 6. All right, in this video, I'm going to just focus on simplifying the derivative. All right, so we have a function h of x is equal to x times cube root of x minus 2. All right, and the first thing I would do is when I take the derivative, I don't like cube root, so I'm going to rewrite it as cube root is equivalent to 1/3 power. So I'm going to rewrite the cube root as the 1/3 power, which would look like this, right? And maybe I'll put, since it's to exaggerate the multiplication here. So this is a multiplication here, right? So we want to use the product rule to take the derivative, right? So let's do that. So h prime of x is equal to, right? So remember how to take the derivative using the product rule, right? Right? Take the derivative of the first, so you're going to get 1, right? 1 times, right? And times the second guy. So I just copy this guy. So you have a quantity x minus 2 to the 1/3 power. So we get that. Right? So that's the first term. So derivative of the first times the second. Then we're going to plus. First guy is x. So it's going to be, oops, sorry, I messed that up here. Right. Right. So here we have, so first guy is just x times the derivative of the second, right? So we're going to bring the 1/3 in front. So you're going to have 1/3 in front, right? Then we're going to keep exactly the same inside function. So we have x minus 2, right? Then power rule, subtract 1 from 1/3. So you're going to have, say, 1/3 minus 1 is negative 2/3. Right? Then you have to the chain rule, multiply by the derivative of inside. So which is going to be, it's going to 1 anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and write that, which really doesn't do anything, but multiply by 1. So make sure to use the chain rule here. All right. So to simplify, this is what I'm going to do here. 1 times really doesn't do anything, so I'm going to go ahead and erase it, right? So I erase that, right? And here times 1 again doesn't do anything, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that, right? So we have this. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start rewriting it. All right, so I'm going to do this. All right, so it's going to be, all right, so I'm going to just rewrite it. F prime, sorry, not F, H prime of x is equal to, all right, first term, I'm going to just keep it exactly the same for now. So I have first term, I just copy it, right? All right. The second term, I'm going to make a little bit of changes. All right, I'm going to write this guy as a fractional form. All right, so here we have fraction. All right, and definitely you have an x on top, so I'm going to put the x on top. All right, we got that. All right, so x is here. All right, and the 3 is on the bottom, so I'm going to put 3 on the bottom. All right, we got that. All right, then here, if you look at the x minus 2, x minus 2 has a negative power, so this quantity x minus 2 should be downstairs. So I'm going to put quantity x minus 2 on the bottom, right? All right, so, but we still have to raise it to 2/3 power, so I'm going to have to raise x minus 2 to the 2/3 power. So we get that. All right. Once you get this, what we need to do is we're going to take the common denominator. Right. So in this case here, this guy doesn't really have a common, I mean, the denominator, if you think of it, maybe 1. Right? Denominator is 3 times quantity x minus 2 to the 2/3 power. So we're going to put the same denominator on the first term too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the first term by, on the bottom, we're going to put the 3 times x minus 2 to the 2/3 power on the bottom, right? So it's going to look like this, right? So since I want to match the denominator, so I'll put exactly the same denominator on the bottom, right? But since that would change the function, so I'm going to multiply by exactly the same thing. So I'm going to just put exactly the same thing on top, right? So you get that, right? So this way, this portion is basically 1, right? Because you have this guy divided by itself, so it's 1. So it's multiplying the first term by 1, so you're not really changing anything, right? Then we can easily simplify this, right? So this is going to be, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to simplify it this way here, right? You have x minus 2 to the 1/3 power. You're going to multiply by x minus 2 to the 2/3 power, right? So if you multiply together, so you have the same base, x minus 2 and x minus 2, and this power is 1/3, and this power is 2/3. So if you multiply these two guys, you're going to add these powers together, right? So you have a 1/3 plus 2/3. It's going to give you 1, right? So which means that this is going to become simply this. So if you multiply x minus 2 to the 1/3 power and x minus 2 to the 2/3 power, you're just going to get x minus 2 to the first power. Right? So I'm going to just do that. So if you multiply out, you're going to get just x minus 2 to the first power. So I'm not going to really write 1. So you just get this, right? So you have x minus 2 to the first power. All right. Then here you have a common denominator. So we can actually, you don't need to write it as two separate fractions. We can have the same denominator. So I'm going to put those guys together. So you're going to get this. So we're going to get fraction, and the denominator is exactly the same. So I'm going to just put the same denominator, one denominator, because the denominator matches, right? All right, from the first term, we have 3 times x. So you distribute 3 to x, so you have 3x. So I'm going to put 3x on top. All right, then I'm going to distribute 3 to negative 2. So you're going to get negative 6. All right, so we got that. And then we're adding x to it. So I'm going to add x to that. Right, so we got that, right? And since you have a 3x and the x here, I'm going to combine to make a 4x, right? So I'm going to get rid of x and then add that to 3x. So you're going to have a 4x, right? So you have a 4x minus 6, right? And if you want to, if you want to go one more step, since 4 has 2 in it and 6 has 2 in it, you can pull out 2. So we can write it as, instead of 4x minus 6, you can write 2 times 2x minus 3, right? You see that this is going to be actually exactly the same, right? Because 2 times 2x gives you 4x, which we had before. And 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, which we had before. So this is exactly the same thing as the derivative we have up here. But this is easy to solve for x if you set that equal to 0 when you look for critical numbers and things like that. All right, so this is how to simplify the first derivative, so h prime. So we can simplify it this way. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.